New York City doesn't notice when one person disappears. 8 million people, millions of footsteps, millions of stories crossing paths and never touching again. In this city, you can vanish in plain sight. But what makes this case different is that a jury convicted a man of murder even though no one could prove a murder happened at all. No body, no crime scene, no blood. Just a handwritten note and a young bride who was never seen again. Before we go any further, if you're drawn to true crime cases where the verdict doesn't match the evidence, where disappearances raise more questions than answers, and where the truth is still unfolding, subscribe to this channel, because these stories don't come with closure, they come with layers, and this one is only getting darker. This story begins where ambition lives, Manhattan. Early mornings, late nights, coffee cups stacked like trophies, subway platforms packed with people who don't look up. Everyone is rushing somewhere, including Clara Whittemore, 23 years old, new to the city, new job, new marriage, new life. Or at least that's what it looked like. Clara didn't grow up in New York. She grew up in a small Midwestern town where the loudest sound at night was a passing truck. She was raised to be agreeable, helpful, polite, the kind of girl teachers trusted, the kind of daughter parents didn't worry about. She dreamed of more movement, more color, more noise. New York felt like proof that she'd made it. Evan Whittemore was the opposite. Born and raised just outside the city, fast talker, sharp dresser, always selling something. He grew up watching deals happen over dinners, learning early that control meant survival. He didn't want a quiet life. He wanted momentum, money, status, and someone who fit neatly into that plan. They met the most New York way possible. Accidentally. A crowded subway platform, a missed train, a spilled coffee. He apologized first. She laughed. They talked the entire ride. By the time they got off, it felt like fate. Rooftop bars, late-night pizza, walking across bridges at midnight. Clara told friends she'd never felt so seen. Evan told people she was perfect. Things moved fast, because in New York, everything does. They married less than a year later, a small ceremony, City Hall, photos taken between passing taxis. Clara called her mother that night. She said, "I feel like my life just started." But New York doesn't slow down for honeymoon phases. Bills came fast, work stress followed, the apartment felt smaller. And that's when things shifted. It started quietly. Evan began correcting Clara, finishing her sentences, deciding where they went, who they saw. Nothing dramatic, just control disguised as care. He checked her phone for safety, tracked her commute to make sure she got home. Clara stopped posting online, stopped calling friends back. When her sister asked why, Clara said, "He just worries," but her voice sounded thinner. Outside their apartment, New York was alive, people chasing dreams, laughing, living. Inside, Clara was shrinking. Neighbors heard arguments through thin walls, late-night fights, Evan's voice calm, Clara's breaking. One neighbor later said, "It sounded like she was apologizing for existing." October nights in New York are cold, the kind of cold that makes the city feel sharper. That night, Clara didn't answer her phone, didn't show up for work, didn't text anyone. By morning, she was gone. No suitcase, no coat, no shoes missing, just a note, left on the kitchen counter, folded neatly, like it was meant to be found. It read, "I need space. I can't do this anymore. Please don't look for me. I'll reach out when it's safe. I'm sorry. One word haunted detectives. Safe. Safe from what? Or who? Police initially believed she ran. New York makes running easy. But the deeper they looked, the less it made sense. And eventually, a man would be convicted of murder without proof she was dead, without proof a crime occurred, and without proof that Clara Whittemore simply disappeared into the city. But what investigators would uncover next would fracture this case forever. Because in New York City, disappearing is easy, but erasing yourself completely, that takes help. And someone knew more than they were saying. A young bride disappears in New York City. No goodbye to family, no money taken, no phone, no ID, just a note, and a husband who says she walked away. That story lasts exactly 48 hours. Detectives ask a simple question. If she planned to leave, where did she go? New York isn't cheap. You don't survive here without cash. Clara's bank account, untouched. Her credit cards, never used. No subway swipes, no Uber rides, no hotel check-ins. It's like she evaporated. And that's when police stop treating this as a disappearance and start treating it as a lie. Evan tells police Clara was emotional, that she talked about needing space, that the note explains everything. But detectives notice something. Evan never asks where she is. He never asks if she's okay. He only says one thing over and over: she'll come back. People who expect someone to return usually know more than they admit. Handwriting experts confirm the note is Clara's, but something's wrong. The wording doesn't match her journals. The punctuation is off. The phrasing sounds coached, especially one line: "Please don't look for me." Clara had never said that to anyone, ever. Then police examine Clara's phone, powered off at 12:04 a.m., before the note is supposedly written, before Evan claims to be asleep, before the night ends, and Clara never turned her phone off. Not in college, not at work, not even on planes. Someone turned it off for her. This is New York. Cameras are everywhere. Subways, lobbies, street corners, ATMs. Police pull footage from the block. At 2:17 a.m., Clara's car leaves the building. At 2:41 a.m., it comes back. Only one person is visible: the driver. The face is blurred, but the posture matches Evan. When confronted, Evan hesitates, then says Clara must have gone for a drive, then changes it again, says he doesn't remember. Memory gaps don't happen randomly. They happen where the truth hurts. The apartment shows no struggle, but it doesn't show normalcy either. Clara's toothbrush is dry, her side of the bed untouched, her favorite coat still hanging, her passport still inside a drawer. No woman planning to disappear leaves her passport behind. Not in New York, not ever. Weeks later, a tech analyst recovers audio, a voicemail Clara recorded but never sent. Her voice is shaking. "I don't know how much longer I can pretend if anything happens to me." The recording cuts, manually deleted, from her own phone, while it was powered off. That detail freezes the room, because phones can't delete messages when they're off. Detectives start digging into Evan's finances and find something he never mentioned: a life insurance policy. $750,000, opened 3 weeks before Clara vanished. Evan says it was mutual, that they planned it together. But Clara's parents say Clara never knew. Then a second policy surfaces, smaller, older, same beneficiary, same signature style, same timing pattern. This doesn't look like planning. It looks like preparation.
Prosecutors face a nightmare. No body, no weapon, no cause of death, just behavior, patterns, timing. They ask the jury one question: why would a woman disappear and leave everything she needs to survive? And they offer one answer: because she didn't leave. Then a former co-worker comes forward, someone Evan trusted, someone who had no reason to lie. They testify under oath. Evan once said, "If Clara ever leaves me, no one will ever find her." The courtroom goes silent. That sentence lands like a gunshot. 6 days of deliberation. The jury struggles, not because they think Evan is innocent, but because they're not sure Clara is dead. In the end,
They convict anyway. Second-degree murder. Because they believe something worse than death happened. A life erased. Years pass. No body surfaces. No confession. No new evidence. Then, something impossible happens. A letter arrives. Addressed to Clara's mother. Postmarked from another state. Inside, one sentence: "I'm sorry I stayed silent for so long." And a photocopy of a wedding ring. Clara's ring. If Clara is alive, who protected her? If she's dead, who sent the letter? And if Evan didn't kill her, why was he so certain she'd never be found? Because in Part 3, a hidden bank account appears, a second identity surfaces, and a witness comes forward who claims to have seen Clara years later. And if that's true, this conviction may be the biggest mistake New York ever made. A young bride disappears in New York City. Her husband is convicted of murder. No body is ever found. Then a letter arrives. A wedding ring appears, and suddenly the question changes. Not what happened to Clara Whitmore, but who benefited from her disappearance. The letter is examined by federal analysts. Paper stock, generic. Ink, common. No fingerprints. But the handwriting, it isn't Clara's normal script. It's slower, careful, as if written by someone trying to imitate themselves or hide who they became. The postmark traces back to New Mexico, a state Clara had no known ties to. No friends, no family, no history. But the ring is real. Serial number confirmed, the exact microscopic scratch Clara's jeweler documented, meaning whoever sent it had physical possession of it for years. A cold case financial analyst notices something buried deep. An account opened 3 months before Clara vanished, not under her name, but on a variation. Same birth date, different last name. Small deposits at first, cash, then larger transfers, always under reporting thresholds. The account stayed dormant for years, until 6 months after Evan's conviction. That's when withdrawals begin. ATM only, different states, different cities, like someone moving, carefully. The alias ties to a social security number issued late, too late, a replacement number, something only granted under rare circumstances, witness protection, or identity reissue due to domestic violence risk. Someone helped Clara disappear, legally, quietly, and permanently. Which raises a terrifying possibility. What if the system believed Clara was in danger before she vanished? A retired NYPD detective breaks silence. He reveals something shocking. Clara once visited a precinct 2 months before her disappearance. She didn't file a report. She didn't give a statement. She asked one question. If someone disappears, how long before police stop looking? That visit was logged, but never forwarded to prosecutors because it didn't fit the narrative. Investigators interview Evan again. Prison aged him, but his story never changed. He admits he was controlling, admits he was cruel with words, but insists on one thing. She was planning something, just not what they think. He claims Clara talked about starting over,
about becoming invisible, about how New York eats people alive. Detectives dismiss it, until they don't. A waitress in Arizona comes forward. She watched the trial years earlier because the woman on the news looked exactly like a regular customer. Same eyes, same scar near the jaw, same nervous habit of twisting her ring finger. The waitress paid cash, never stayed long, and once said something chilling. "I used to live where nobody ever stops watching." The waitress didn't report it because she assumed Clara was dead. Analysts reconstruct the night Clara vanished. The car footage, the phone shutdown, the note. A new theory forms. Clara didn't leave randomly. She left with assistance. Someone helped her stage a disappearance. Someone coached the note. Someone knew how to exploit Evan's control issues, and someone knew the justice system would finish the job. What if Evan didn't kill Clara, but trapped her long enough that escape became survival? What if the note wasn't surrender, but strategy? And what if the conviction was the final barrier protecting her? Because no one looks for a dead woman, especially after a verdict. The original prosecutor admits something years later. They never proved Clara died. They proved Evan was unlikable. They proved motive. They proved fear, but not murder. He says, if she's alive, we put the wrong person in prison. And if she's not, then someone else helped her vanish and got away with it. A new voicemail surfaces, recovered from an old cloud backup, recorded days before the disappearance. Clara whispers, "He thinks love is possession. I think freedom looks like disappearance." That sentence reframes everything. This wasn't fear alone, it was planning. So here's where the case stands. If Clara Whitmore is alive, she sacrificed a man to escape a life she couldn't survive. If she's dead, then someone smarter than police erased her completely. And if Evan is innocent, then the justice system closed a case it never understood. Because in New York City, people vanish every day, but only one disappearance ended with a conviction, and no proof a crime ever happened. And here's the detail that keeps investigators awake. The bank account tied to Clara's alias, it went inactive again. Last withdrawal, 6 months ago, same city as her hometown. Which means one of three things. She came back, she was found, or she never left at all. And if Clara Whitmore is still out there, she's watching this story unfold and deciding whether staying hidden is still worth the cost. Because sometimes the most dangerous thing is being found. If this case stayed with you, if you're still questioning what really happened to Clara Whitmore, then you're exactly the kind of viewer this channel is for. Subscribe, turn on notifications, because the cases we covered don't fade away. They resurface, they evolve, and sometimes they come back when no one expects them to. And when this story continues, you'll want to be here.